Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today is Sunday, which means I'm doing a NoBuy art supply video, and this is my inventory analysis. I am taking a look at everything I used, everything I didn't use, what's left, why didn't I use it. Okay, so let's get started. For paper, the green square filled in means I used it up. So when we look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there was 2 challenges in there. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I used up 12 sketchbooks this year. Half of one from a previous year, and a couple of them, one got taken over to, we'll say, homeschool. So we'll denote that in a different color right here for homeschool. Purple Kitty homeschool. And then another one, I just did a paper test. So as far as sketchbooks went, I filled a dozen, plus I filled up my, used up all of my 300 gram arches for commissions, and then my Strathmore Tone Tan cards, which I use for gifts. Planners, I had used up a bunch of planners. Now we get to supplies, and a lot of these are really hard to use up, so I just have denoted that I used them. So let's look at what I didn't use this year. The first thing is the Canon watercolor pencils, and I have some of the Supra Color. I have some of the Museum Aquarelle. I didn't use these this year, and I think these got bumped because last year I purchased a ton of granulating watercolors in tubes, and that's what I used instead. I love these. I will link a sketchbook tour if you want to see. This is the sketchbook tour of me using watercolor pencils. This is from February of 21. They're a lot of fun. I really love these. These store and keep well. My kids also really love playing with them. So I'm not really concerned that I didn't use these this year, only that I need to now make a concerted effort to use them next year. The next thing on my list, craft paint brushes. Again, I'm not worried about that. Brushes all store well. Pottery supplies, Wacom tablet. I think maybe we can utilize these in our homeschool. I'm not going to the pottery studio. Working with clay and working on the wheel is really hard on my hands. Plus the amount of time to create a project, wait a couple days, trim it, and then, you know, have it fired a couple times. It's either I draw or I do pottery. I really can't do both, and I tried doing both in 2018, and I ended up with some of stuff, like pieces, parts of both. So pottery's gonna have to go maybe homeschool. Wacom tablet, I want to see if my eldest is interested in this because I'm teaching her how to draw. So I'm kind of saving that for her. I realize that I just prefer hands-on supplies. That's like a realization that's personal to me. Travel pouches, pencil cases, I'm not worried about this either. I'm gonna use them next year. I'm gonna take you with me, and I'm gonna store all my supplies in those. Stamp pads and stamps. That may be something that I give to my youngest daughter. I don't use those very much, and I don't incorporate them in my art, and I don't see how unless it's like specific a date stamp, and I date stamp my stuff. But I make so many YouTube videos. It's really easy for me to document. Plus I label my stuff, so I kind of know when I create things. I don't need stamps. This is gonna go to my daughter. When I look into my drawing inventory, I have some Copic markers. I have one super old Prismacolor. This is another one where if I'm going to keep these, and I like using them for testing paper supplies for all my alcohol marker friends, just to show you what the bleed through looks like on most paper. A concerted effort needs to be made to use these probably in the summertime when I can open up all the windows and get a good cross breeze going. So I'm not really inhaling the scent and the odor of these pens. So I think I'm going to find some little doodle sketch things that I'm going to do in the summer and really make a concerted effort to use these. I'm not quite ready to part with them. If I don't use them next year at all, then I will be, and I'll just donate to, I know in Africa they cannot get Copic markers, so I will just donate these probably with another pack that fills up the color range and donate them to a school in Africa. Brush pen cartridges, I just didn't finish using the ones in my brush pens. I'm not worried about that. We get to nib holders, drawing nibs, folded pens. So this is something I am going to part with. These were probably very budget, $1.50 each. This one was probably a little bit more expensive. This is the Tachikawa. And I have drawing nibs. I just don't enjoy nibs on paper. I like the felt tip. I like the actual pencil. I like the ink. I just, nibs aren't for me. I find them to be, especially drawing nibs, scratchy. I feel like I'm scratching the page a little bit, and that could just be user error. Now, when it comes to doing a calligraphy, because I could save these for calligraphy, I prefer to do calligraphy with the Tombow dual brush pen. I love these, and it's such a smooth gliding experience, especially when you're first learning how to do calligraphy or you're getting interested in hand lettering or faux calligraphy. I find that if it's really smooth, it's more enjoyable. So I will be donating these to someone in the community and seeing if they want to do a trade later on, and maybe I'll do a video about that. Colored pencil blenders, I'm not worried about it. I used everything else. I really, really tried to use all my supplies, but the fact that I didn't even get to something I love, my watercolor pencils, lets me know that I have a large enough inventory. I don't then need to be adding something like oil pastels or oil paints or things that I don't own. Categories of art supplies that I don't own. I don't need to be adding those because I can't even use all of what I have in a 12-month calendar year. I want to show you sketchbooks that are left. So if we 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 2 halves. I have enough sketchbooks. These are what's left. These are what I didn't get to fill. These are A6 size, Lecturn. I have a whole Midori. I have one of the new Lecturns. I have a random thing I purchased off Etsy. Here is the Stillman Bird Epsilon. I decided I'm going to use this for demos and tutorials. So all my demo and tutorial things aren't loose leaf and floating around. They'll all be bound into a sketchbook. So this is probably what I'll be using for tutorials for next year. So I have a mission and a plan for that one. This is the one that's half fill. This is the Midori A4. And I have a brand new Midori A5. I've got a lot of Midori paper to use. Not done. Oh my goodness. I have 2 A4s. And these are monsters. And then I have my really high quality thick commission paper. So I'm not worried about my commission paper. It sorts itself out. My plan for next year, I know this is a lot of sketchbooks left. I would really like to fill 4 sketchbooks that are just sketchbooks next year. And then I'm probably going to make a watercolor book. This is the thing. Only one of these, and that's the Epsilon, can handle watercolor. None of these other ones can handle paint. So these are all just for sketching, which means I have years worth of sketch pads that I still need to use up. So my goal is to use 4 sketchbooks next year, and then probably bind 1 to 2 watercolor books in addition to the Statology 365. That's my main art journal sketchbook that I'm going to be using every single day. Next year, I'm going to be limiting my surface. So these are the ones I'm going to take out in nature. I really want to keep going with charcoal portraits. I really want to improve. And I like this size for portraits, but I may add like Copic doodles. So I'm using my supplies. Unfortunately, all these products I'm showing you from Lecterm are discontinued. It's why I own them. It doesn't handle watercolor well. So I can do acrylic in them, but not watercolor, which means I'm going to need a pad of watercolor paper for next year. I know, I still have a lot of stuff. For the amount of stuff I used, I still have a ton of stuff left, which shows you why I did this NoBuy to begin with, and why inventory is so important for your art supplies, where I could take an honest, hard look and hold myself accountable. I really did use a lot of stuff. I used a lot of stuff this year. And I'm so proud of myself for this. This was a lot. Some days it was work, and more days than not, though, it was just a ton of fun. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.